First contact gone wrong. The stars had always been humanity's dream, but when they finally came to Earth, they arrived not as explorers, but as conquerors. The Imperial fleet appeared without warning, vast warships that blotted out the night sky, descending in low orbit above Earth. Their message was simple, transmitted across every channel in 100 different languages. You belong to the Empire. Submit or be destroyed. For centuries, the Empire had spread across the galaxy like a fire, consuming weaker species, breaking them, folding them into its dominion. To them, humanity was nothing special, another primitive civilization, resource-rich and undefended, ripe for harvest. But Earth was not the world they thought it was. In an emergency session, leaders from every nation gathered at the United Nations complex in Geneva. For the first time in generations, there were no disputes, no arguments about politics or borders. There was only one question: fight or surrender. General Arjun Malik of the Earth Defense Command stood before them, his voice iron steady. They think we are weak because we are young. They think we will kneel because others have. But I tell you this, if we surrender today, we will never stand again. We fight, not because we can win easily, but because survival demands it. The vote was unanimous. Earth would resist. The Empire responded with contempt. They dispatched a demonstration strike, a squadron of cruisers descending toward Earth's atmosphere. Their target, New York City. The intent was not conquest, but terror. Billions across the planet watched in horror as the alien ships entered the sky like falling gods of war. And then humanity fought back. From orbital platforms, railguns fired tungsten rods at hypersonic speed, tearing through the first cruiser's shields. Nuclear-tipped interceptors launched from hidden silos across North America, exploding in blinding flashes that shook the heavens. Orbital laser arrays, once designed for asteroid defense, cut through Imperial hulls. The Empire had expected no resistance. Instead, they found a planet bristling with weapons, a species that had spent centuries preparing for extinction-level threats, asteroids, climate collapse, nuclear war, and had turned that desperation into technology for survival. One cruiser fell, then another. The sky above Earth burned with alien wreckage. In orbit, Admiral Vela of the Empire stared in disbelief at his tactical displays. This was supposed to be a simple operation. These humans had no hyperdrives, no plasma lances, no shields. And yet, they were killing Imperial ships. His voice, sharp with rage, echoed across the command deck. Withdraw. Now. They are not what we thought. The battered Imperial fleet limped away, humiliated. On Earth, the celebrations were brief. Humanity had survived the first strike, but everyone knew what would come next. The Empire would return, not with a squadron, but with an armada. In the silence that followed, a new determination gripped the planet. Humanity had been underestimated, and in that miscalculation, the Empire had sown the seeds of its greatest war. For the first time, the galaxy had taken notice of Earth, and humanity, fragile and defiant, stood ready to fight. Humanity fights back. The Empire did not wait long to return. 3 months after their failed demonstration strike, the skies over Earth darkened again. This time, it was no squadron. A full battle group arrived. 24 warships, carriers bristling with fighters, destroyers armed with plasma cannons, and capital ships whose shadows eclipsed entire cities. The message was the same: submit or die. But humanity had spent those months preparing. The wreckage from the first battle had been hauled into orbit. Teams of scientists and engineers tore apart alien alloys, deciphered propulsion systems, and reverse-engineered weapons at a frantic pace. Every lab on Earth became a war room, every workshop a factory of resistance. When the Empire advanced, humanity was waiting. The first great clash came near Titan, Saturn's frozen moon. The Imperial fleet pursued what they thought was a retreating human convoy, a handful of converted mining vessels and supply freighters. In truth, it was bait. From within Saturn's dense rings, human warships emerged. They were crude compared to Imperial vessels, but their commanders wielded creativity the Empire could not anticipate. Railguns, mounted on captured alien frames, fired in coordinated volleys, shattering shields. Fusion torpedoes detonated inside the ring system, forcing Imperial ships into deadly collisions with the ice and rock. Then came the drones. Thousands of small, agile craft, once mining bots, swarmed the Imperial formation, latching onto holes and detonating shaped charges. The Empire's precision formations dissolved into chaos. For the first time in centuries, an Imperial fleet broke and ran. The victory at Titan became legend. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. The humans had defeated the Empire in open battle. To other species, long shackled by Imperial chains, the news was like oxygen to a suffocating flame. On Earth, the cost was steep, hundreds of ships destroyed, thousands dead, but the triumph filled humanity with unshakable resolve. General Arjun Malik addressed the world. They wanted slaves. They found soldiers. Every drop of our blood spilled today will become a weapon forged against them. We will not kneel. We will not break. Humanity will endure. From that moment, the war shifted. Humanity no longer thought only of defense. Every engagement became an opportunity. Salvaged wreckage was refitted into new designs, ships that combined human stubbornness with alien technology. Civilian engineers reimagined Imperial plasma cannons into devastating artillery. Soldiers trained to fight in void suits, boarding enemy vessels in brutal close-quarters combat the Empire had never faced before. Humanity adapted faster than the Empire believed possible. Admiral Vela, now tasked with overseeing the human problem, reviewed report after report, his mandibles clicking in frustration. They should be broken, he muttered. Primitive, frightened, begging for mercy. Instead, they grow stronger each cycle. In his heart, he felt a flicker of something unfamiliar. Not respect, never respect for primitives, but fear. The Empire had made humanity its enemy, and already it was proving to be their biggest mistake. The Empire trembles. The war no longer belonged to the Empire alone. Humanity had seized it, reshaping every battlefield with cunning, fury, and relentless will. By the second year, Earth's fleets were unrecognizable from the ships that had first launched. Salvaged alien engines drove human-built hulls, and hybrid weapons bristled on decks. The war had forged humanity into something new, something the Empire had not accounted for. The first offensive strike came at Carvel, an Imperial supply hub orbiting a red dwarf. Human forces descended like predators, striking convoys and annihilating orbital depots. Instead of withdrawing, they stayed, destroying every trace of infrastructure and vanishing before the Imperial Navy could respond. Similar raids spread across the stars. For every human ship lost, 3 Imperials burned. Humanity had learned the Empire's greatest weakness, its arrogance. Imperial fleets moved slowly, weighed down by rigid doctrine and centuries of unquestioned supremacy. Humans moved fast, struck unexpectedly, and vanished like ghosts. But what truly unnerved the Empire were the soldiers. Human Marines became infamous for their ferocity in boarding actions. They breached holes with plasma cutters, fought in cramped corridors where Imperial weapons were too bulky, and refused to surrender even when outnumbered. One report described a single squad of human soldiers holding an Imperial cruiser's engine room for 18 hours, killing hundreds before the ship was finally destroyed. Within Imperial command halls, the whispers grew. These were not ordinary primitives. These were predators in the shape of prey. Then came the liberation of T-Shera. T-Shera was a slave world, its people broken under Imperial rule for centuries. When humanity struck the planet, the Empire expected another raid. Instead, human forces landed en masse, not to conquer, but to free. They shattered garrisons, armed the enslaved, and left the planet in the hands of its own people. For the first time in living memory, a world was freed from the Empire's chains. The message spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The humans did not come to rule. They came to liberate. And that made them dangerous in ways the Empire could not contain. Allies began to emerge. Broken species, long subdued, sent envoys in secret. They offered intelligence, supplies, even soldiers. The galaxy had found its spark, and it burned in humanity's defiance. In the Imperial Palace, the Emperor listened to the reports in silence. His throne room, once a place of triumph, now felt like a cage of defeat. Finally, his voice broke the silence, low and venomous. Humanity is no longer an enemy. They are contagion. They spread rebellion, defiance, and hope. They must be eradicated, or the Empire itself will fall. Thus, he gave the order. The Grand Armada would gather, a force unseen in centuries, to descend upon Earth and crush humanity utterly. But the Emperor did not realize what every soldier in his fleets already knew. Fear of humanity had taken root. And once fear spreads, empires tremble. Their biggest mistake. The Empire's Grand Armada arrived in Sol like a storm. Thousands of warships filled the void, dreadnoughts whose hulls could eclipse continents, carriers vomiting endless swarms of fighters, and the Emperor's own flagship, the Obsidian Throne, towering above them all. It was meant to be the final blow. Not a battle, but an execution. On Earth, the sky glowed with the trails of evacuation craft rushing toward bunkers and subterranean shelters. Yet fear had not broken humanity. Instead, across every screen, every comm channel, one message repeated. This is our home. We will not surrender. We will not kneel. The defense of Sol began. Human fleets emerged from hidden wormhole gates seeded across the system, striking the Armada before it could fully organize. Drone swarms poured from asteroid belts. Orbital platforms around Mars fired railgun barrages that ripped through Imperial escorts. From the rings of Saturn, mines detonated, shredding whole squadrons. The Armada pressed forward, overwhelming in sheer size, but humanity fought with cunning and rage. At the Battle of Jupiter, Imperial dreadnoughts faced relentless hit-and-run assaults. Human ships darted in close, unleashed salvos, then vanished into the gas giant's magnetic storms. In the chaos, Allied fleets, T-Sharon rebels, Valkyrie raiders, and others once enslaved, struck the Empire's flanks, turning what was meant to be conquest into slaughter. On board the Obsidian Throne, the Emperor watched with growing fury. They were meant to break, he snarled. Why do they not break? Because humanity had learned the Empire's greatest truth. Fear was a weapon. And the Empire, for the first time in its reign, was afraid. The climax came in Earth orbit. The Emperor's flagship advanced, its superweapon charging, ready to vaporize the planet below. Humanity's remaining fleets, battered and burning, launched one final assault. Every surviving ship, every drone, every soldier converged. The Valiant Dawn, humanity's first hybrid battleship, led the charge. Its captain's voice rang across the fleet. Today, we show them their mistake. Today, humanity stands unbroken. The battle was apocalyptic. Human marines boarded Imperial carriers, detonating reactors from within. Freed allies rammed their ships into enemy dreadnoughts, willing to die so humanity could live. And at the heart of the storm, the Valiant Dawn tore through the Armada's defenses, delivering a barrage that split the Obsidian Throne's shields. In its final moments, a squadron of human drone ships rammed the Emperor's flagship, igniting a chain of detonations that ripped the vessel apart. The Emperor's last sight was not of victory, but of fire consuming the symbol of his eternal rule. When the wreckage fell silent, the Armada broke. Without its command, Imperial fleets scattered. Across the galaxy, rebellions erupted like stars igniting, species long enslaved rising at last. The Empire's centuries-old reign crumbled in months, and humanity, scarred, blooded, but unbroken, stood at the center of it all. They had been underestimated. They had been forced into war, and in choosing humanity as their enemy, the Empire had sealed its fate. They thought us prey, General Malik declared to the galaxy. But we are predators. Remember this. Making us your enemy was their greatest mistake.